It is great to be back at AIPAC, the largest gathering of pro-Israel Americans in the United States.
This is the AIPAC Policy Conference. Close to 20,000 American Jews, evangelical Christians, and prominent politicians mobilize here in Washington once a year. And pound for pound, they make up the most powerful pro-Israel lobby in America. Bipartisanship has been key to AIPAC's mission. Politicians from both sides of the aisle spoke at this year's conference about ways to strengthen our relationship with Israel.
The U.S.-Israel alliance is in America's interest. Israel is on the front lines dealing with some extreme elements. AIPAC works very hard to get people to focus on that.
But this year, things were a little different.
Recently, a freshman Democrat in Congress trafficked in repeated anti-Semitic tropes.
When someone accuses American supporters of dual loyalty, I say, accuse me.
The 2019 AIPAC Policy Conference made headlines, but they were less about Israel and more about the bipartisan future of the lobby. Essentially, how can AIPAC remain neutral when unconditional support for Israel itself is polarizing? It all started with a pair of tweets from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar that were widely thought to be anti-Semitic. Omar's tweets and the reaction to them,
I do not believe that she understood the full weight of the words,
highlight a growing divide in the Democratic Party.
Support for Israel is becoming increasingly politicized among the Democratic base versus the Republican base in terms of their attitudes toward Israel.
Americans on both sides of the aisle support Israel, but that loyalty isn't what it used to be, especially among progressive Democrats. And it's not just Omar. Both she and Representative Rashida Tlaib support the BDS movement, which calls for the boycott of Israel. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has also expressed sympathy for Palestinians. Inside the policy conference, the message from lawmakers, both Democratic and Republican, was clear. American support for Israel and for AIPAC is not up for debate.
Support for Israel in America is relentlessly bipartisan.
Outside the halls of the conference center, it's a different story. Jews overwhelmingly vote for Democrats.
We are greatly appreciative of all the Trump administration has done in the past year to advance the U.S.-Israel relationship.
And not all Jews appreciate the coziness between the American right and Israel's right-wing government. 57% of American Jews disapprove of how President Trump is currently handling relations with Israel. AIPAC doesn't typically question Israeli leadership and has embraced most of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing policies.
The alliance, what I would say, between the Republican Party and the Likud Party, and between Netanyahu personally and the Republicans, AIPAC has been a victim of that.
How have political attitudes on the left shifted over the years?
There's been long-standing criticisms among progressives about the excessive influence of the pro-Israel lobby. What's different is to hear them in Congress. And also it's easier for non-Jewish progressives, who want to speak out on issues concerning the Israeli-Palestinian conflict when they know that there are Jewish organizations that share those positions.
One of those other groups is J Street, a progressive Jewish political action committee that also bills itself as pro-Israel. But if you ask AIPAC supporters, they're likely to label J Street and its posture as radical.
When we launched J Street, the notion that you could be pro-Israel and criticize the policies of the government of Israel, that seemed radical. We're sort of the group in the middle that says Israel's not always right, Israel's not always wrong. The Palestinians have rights too.
So one of the reasons why people have called your organization radical is because of the way that you define Hamas. Do you have any regrets about how you handled the messaging around that?
Israelis live under threat of rockets and tunnels and terror and violence, and they have a right to respond. You have to ask a question whether or not it's necessary to do it at the level at which it is done when they respond. The issue for J Street is, when do you ask the question, and in what tone and in what words?
The accusations of anti-Semitism against members of Congress like Ilhan Omar, do you think those were justified?
Anti-Semitism is real. I think the words that she chose and some of the imagery that she used tap into long-standing anti-Semitic tropes. But I don't think it taps into a deep-seated anti-Semitism the way that some of the hatred and intolerance on the right. It's a culture of hatred and bigotry and intolerance.
The debate around AIPAC isn't just about politics. Attacks against Jews are at a near historic level, and the last year has seen 2 deadly attacks on synagogues. Bipartisan attitudes toward Israel and the Jewish community have real-world consequences that can be felt by real people. So we asked these college students what that dynamic looks like on campus.
It's a scary time to be Jewish on campus. There's a lot of rhetoric flying, and some Jews, it's easier to put your head down and not take a stand one way or the other. I believe in my moral fiber to stand up for what I believe is right, which is supporting Israel.
Would anyone else here refer to themselves as Zionists?
A lot of people at J Street do refer to themselves as Zionist and then feel very unsafe doing so.
I strongly believe in two-state solution, and I think the word Zionism has a different implication depending on what environment you're in.
Right.
On a liberal arts campus that's very liberal, like the Claremont colleges, being a Zionist means one thing.
The rhetoric on campus can be very, scary almost. It's like there's a conflation of Zionism with racism is something you hear a lot.
When it comes to AIPAC, what do you think are AIPAC's strengths?
I think they have just a lot of sway over America's position towards Israel.
I think their idea of Israel existing as a state, regardless of its actions, is important to recognize as well.
How does AIPAC damage bipartisanship potentially?
I do think AIPAC is so powerful that it does kind of just dominate the voice of Israel in our country, and I think that's what's problematic.
I think it's kind of unflagging commitment to Netanyahu presents a really big issue for me.
At the most recent AIPAC policy conference, they had leaders, as they always do, from a wide array of political ideas here in the United States and in Israel, which I think there needs to be more dialogue in Washington and not less.
Okay, but is it dialogue when in the opening speech the president of AIPAC doesn't say the word Palestinian once? Annexation has been in Likud's platform since its inception, and it's only now that Netanyahu's gained steam and gained political prowess for his ability.
But you're conflating AIPAC and Likud, and I think that's an unfair comparison.
But is it?
If the leadership of the Israeli government were a lefty merits party tomorrow, I feel that AIPAC would as strongly support that leadership as they do the Likud party today.
The majority of Democrats and Republicans in Congress are still united behind AIPAC and Israel, but the conversation is shifting. And the way AIPAC navigates that will determine how much bipartisan support it can find in an increasingly divided America.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.